Hey everyone, picture this. It's a freezing November morning in 1957, and a little stray dog with curly fur and big, trusting eyes is gently placed into a cramped metal pod, her tail wagging uncertainly as technicians whisper goodbyes. In just hours, she'll be rocketed into the black void of space, becoming the first living creature to circle our planet. But at what cost? What drove humans to send an innocent animal on a one-way ticket to the stars? And what really happened up there in the silence of orbit? Stick around, because today we're unraveling the tragic tale of Laika, the space dog who captured the world's heart and exposed the harsh realities of our race to the cosmos. We'll explore her humble beginnings, the intense preparations, the heart-pounding launch, and the bittersweet legacy she left behind. If stories like this ignite your curiosity about history's hidden corners, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the past, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Let's jump in. To really understand Laika's story, we have to step back to the frenzy of the Cold War space race. It was the 1950s, a time when the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a high-stakes battle, not just for military supremacy, but for the ultimate prize, conquering space. The Soviets had stunned the world on October 4th, 1957, with Sputnik 1, that simple, beeping satellite that orbited Earth and proved they could send objects beyond our atmosphere. Can you imagine the panic in Washington? Overnight, the skies felt a little less safe, and the pressure was on for both sides to push further, faster. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev, riding high on that success, wanted something even bigger to mark the 40th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution just a month later. Enter the idea of sending a living being into orbit, a bold move to show that space was not just for machines, but could one day be for humans too. But here's the catch. Technology wasn't ready for a safe return. Re-entry shields, life support, for weeks, forget it. They needed a test subject, someone or something, to brave the unknown first. And that's where dogs came in. The Soviets had been experimenting with canines on suborbital flights for years, strapping them into rockets to study how bodies handled the G-forces, the noise, the weightlessness. Why dogs? Well, they're similar enough to humans in physiology, loyal, and easier to train than monkeys, which the Americans favored. But for this orbital leap, they needed a special pup, one tough enough to endure the unimaginable. It was a gamble, shrouded in secrecy, with the whole world watching. How far would ambition take us, and who would pay the price? Now, let's meet our unlikely hero, Laika. She wasn't born in a lab or bred for greatness. No, she was a scrappy street dog, wandering the harsh alleys of Moscow, scavenging for scraps in the snow. Born around 1954, she was a mixed breed, part husky or Samoyed for that sturdy build, with a dash of terrier for her feisty spirit. Weighing in at about 11 to 13 pounds, she had that classic stray look, curly fur, a white chest, and those soulful eyes that could melt even the coldest heart. The Soviets specifically hunted for Moscow strays because these dogs had already proven they could survive extreme cold, hunger, and the rough life. Think about it. If a pup could tough out Siberian winters on the streets, maybe she could handle the brutal conditions of space. They rounded up dozens, but Laika stood out. Originally called Kudryovka, meaning little curly, she got nicknames like Zhuka, little bug, and Lemonchik, little lemon, from her handlers. But when she barked on a radio broadcast, the name Laika stuck. It's Russian for barker, and it fit her vocal personality perfectly. She was calm, not aggressive with other dogs, what scientists called phlegmatic. In a world of chaos, she was steady. But did she have any idea what was coming? Probably not. She was just happy for a warm meal and a kind hand. The team, led by experts like Vladimir Yazdovsky and Oleg Gazenko, narrowed it down to 3 finalists: Laika, Albina, and Mushka. Albina had already flown twice on high-altitude tests and was a mom to a recent litter. The handlers could not bear to send her, feeling it was too cruel to separate her from her pups. Mushka became the control dog on the ground. So Laika, the underdog stray, got the nod. It was a decision laced with emotion. Yazdovsky even took her home one night to play with his kids, giving her a taste of normal life. Imagine that tender moment, a dog destined for the stars, chasing balls in a cozy apartment. It humanizes the story, doesn't it? These weren't heartless scientists. They were people grappling with the weight of progress. Training kicked off, and folks, it was no walk in the park. To mimic the tight confines of the Sputnik 2 capsule, Laika and the others were crammed into progressively smaller cages, down to spaces where they could barely move for up to 20 days straight. At first, it broke them. They stopped eating, couldn't go to the bathroom, got restless and distressed. Laxatives didn't help. Only time and repetition built their tolerance. Then came the centrifuge spins, whirling them around to simulate the crushing acceleration of launch. Their pulses doubled, blood pressure spiked. It was like being on the world's worst roller coaster, over and over. Add in machines blasting rocket noises, shaking their world, and you get a sense of the ordeal. They had to learn to eat this weird high-nutrition gel, a mix of breadcrumbs, powdered meat, beef, fat, agar, and water, about a cup's worth a day. No kibble here. It was space chow, designed to keep them alive without mess. Sensors were wired to their bodies to track heart rates, breathing, everything. Laika handled it better than most, her calm nature shining through. But think about the rhetorical question. How would you feel? Trapped in a box, spun senseless, all for a mission you can't comprehend. The trainers bonded with her, seeing her as more than a test subject. One handler recalled her as quiet and charming, yet, deep down, they knew this was a one-way trip. The capsule was rigged with an oxygen generator, CO2 absorbers, a fan for cooling, even a harness to let her stand, sit, or lie, but no turning around. A tiny window offered a glimpse of Earth, if she could see it, and waste. A bag attached to her suit, uncomfortable but necessary. As launch day neared, on October 31st, she was sealed in at the Bikaner Cosmodrome, hooked to a heater hose against the chill. Her fur was sponged with alcohol, iodine on sensor spots, and the team, well, they kissed her nose, wishing her bon voyage. Heartbreaking, right? They knew she wouldn't come back, but the drive for knowledge pushed them forward. Launch day arrived, November 3rd, 1957. Early morning under a crisp Kazakh sky. The R-7 rocket, a beast of engineering, stood ready with Sputnik to atop it, a 1,120-pound payload, 6 times heavier than Sputnik 1, packed with instruments for solar rays, cosmic radiation, and of course, Laika's life support pod. The world had no clue. This was top secret until success. At 5:30 a.m., ignition flames roared, and the rocket thundered upward. Inside, Laika's world exploded. G-forces pinned her. heart racing from 103 to 240 beats per minute, breathing triple or quadruple the norm. Telemetry beamed back her panic, agitated movements, heavy pants, but she made it. The nose cone jettisoned, and Sputnik 2 slipped into orbit, circling Earth every 103 minutes. For a moment, triumph. The first animal in space. Early data showed her settling pulse back to 142, even eating some gel. She was alive, floating in weightlessness, perhaps peering out that porthole at the blue marble below. Suspense builds here. What would happen next? The Soviets broadcast her barks, dubbing her a hero. But cracks appeared fast. The rocket's block, a stage, didn't fully separate as planned, and thermal insulation tore loose. Cabin temps climbed to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe higher. No reliable cooling in that rushed design. Laika's stress mounted. After 3 hours, signs of distress returned. By the fourth orbit, about 5 to 7 hours in silence, no more life signs. The truth, hidden for decades. She overheated, her body overwhelmed by heat and fear. Not the planned euthanasia with poisoned food that never triggered, just a slow, agonizing end for a brave little dog. The aftermath hit like a shockwave. Sputnik 2 kept orbiting, beaming data until batteries died on day 6, completing over 2,500 loops before burning up on re-entry. April 14, 1958, a streak across the sky from New York to the Amazon. But Laika's fate. The Soviets spun tales. She lived days, euthanized humanely, or died from oxygen loss. Lies to save face. Protests erupted worldwide. Animal lovers picketed UN buildings, embassies. Groups like the RSPCA called for moments of silence. In the UK, the National Canine Defense League urged dog owners to mourn. Even in the Soviet bloc, whispers of regret. It galvanized ethics debates. Was this progress or cruelty? The US scrambled, launching Explorer 1 soon after. But Laika's sacrifice highlighted the human cost, or rather, the animal one. Future missions improved. Dogs like Belka and Strelka returned safely in 1960, paving for Yuri Gagarin in 61. But not without losses. Other pups perished in explosions. Laika got honors, stamps, statues in Moscow and Star City, even cigarettes branded after her. Her image became iconic, a symbol of ambition's double edge. Wrapping this up, Laika's journey teaches us profound lessons about humanity's quest for the stars. She wasn't just a dog, she was a pioneer who endured the unimaginable, giving data on how life fares in space, heart rates under G-forces, behavior in zero gravity that made human flights possible. But at what moral price? Animals like her were sacrificed because, back then, we couldn't risk people without knowing the dangers. Radiation, disorientation, the sheer terror of launch. They were stand-ins, voiceless proxies in our grand experiment. Today, we question it. Was there another way? Could simulations or tech have spared them? Some theorize that with more time, the Soviets might have built a return capsule, but haste in the space race sealed her fate. Or perhaps her story pushes us toward ethical advancements, like lab-grown models or AI tests now. It makes you wonder, in our rush to explore, do we still overlook the innocent? What do you think? Was Laika a hero or a victim? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. If this tugged at your heart, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more history that hits home. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.